There's, I think, several layers to why this dynamic exists. There's the layer that I was very familiar with and have talked about before, which is that men in, I mean, this can be true of women too, but I think it is just truer of men that, and how they've been socialized or learned to be assertive or whatever, that men, once they make a decision, uh, see it as a sign of weakness to change their mind. And so part of being an effective rebel at work is, or you have a longer career as a successful rebel at work if you have a good sense of timing. So there are, no matter how true your perception is, there are wrong times to say it and wrong arenas to say it in. And so I think, I think that, so you end up, if you say something, you end up flipping the table, because you're asking those leaders to admit that their initial decision was flawed. And that's just really problematic. Another layer that occurs is one of different ideas as to what is the relevant information you need to make the decision. And I will quote someone, well, I won't say who it is, but someone I knew in the national security field told me about the first time that he met with President Obama on some, gritty issue of national security. And President Obama asked him a question like, well, what do the women in the population think about this issue? For the guy I'm talking to, that was totally out of left field. I mean, that might not have been the exact question, but it was that kind of divergence. And he said that in his time with President Obama, he felt that his ability to see more broadly all the issues involved, all the perspectives that need to be considered, expanded, and it was good for him. He ended up being, I think, a better policymaker. So you can have this thing of, I've made my decision and I'm sticking with it. And you, in essence, for you to challenge that decision, you end up potentially embarrassing that person. And then the second one is that you may have a divergent but nevertheless really important view on what are the factors we need to consider before we move forward. And that is also unwelcome. I mean, that one might be a little easier than the other. It's easier to say, well, I'm not sure that we've considered X.
Yeah.
It's harder to say, I don't think that's going to work.